Hi, I'm Carola, a member of the TombowUSA Creator Crew, and in today's video I wanted to take a closer look at two sets from the TombowUSA Holiday Gift Guide, Lettering Basics and Lettering in Color. 10 years ago when I started hand lettering, I used the Tombow dual brush pen, but I wish that I had one of these sets to get me going because they just have everything in the set to guide you through hand lettering, whether you're a beginner or you're ready to take up your hand lettering a notch. If you're interested in hand lettering or you know someone who is, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this card step by step. We're going to do it together. We're going to use the Lettering Basics set, and then we're going to take it up a level with Lettering in Color. So I'll show you how one will get you started with lettering and the second will help you elevate your lettering just a little bit more. So with the Lettering Basics set, you get these tools that will help you get started with hand lettering, especially if you're wanting to create a card. And so I think these are great tools to have for sort of, your basic hand lettering practice. And so this is very useful and comes with a lettering guide as well. And so we're going to use that to create a card. So the 4H pencil is actually really great because you can draw or write a draft of what you're going to hand letter, and it's light enough that you can erase it after you outline your hand lettering with the brush pen. So the great thing about the Fudenosuke hard tip brush pen is that it's very easy to control. The tip is not so broad that it's going to take up a lot of space, and it's very precise. And so this is my go-to brush pen when I'm doing hand lettering. And you only need to press gently when you're doing your downstrokes in order to get a wide line. And I'll show you what that looks like. So when you start, and I'd say go slow and go with the flow and take your time, because this is part of the enjoyment of hand lettering. And so when you're doing downstrokes, press gently to get a wider line. And when you're doing the upstroke, just pull up on the pen a little bit so you're not pushing down too hard, and then you'll get those fine lines. And again, with a hard tip brush pen, I find that it's a lot easier to control your line. And so you can have fun with the sort of aesthetics of what you want those lines to look like. The dual brush pen comes with two tips. So on one side you have a brush tip, and it's a very broad brush tip. On the other side you have just a fine tip, and it's very precise again. And so this is great for just lettering. If you're just doing a simple sort of just letters that don't need, that you're not gonna add variation to it. So if you wanted to create a card just using with the Lettering Basics set, I think that would be simple to do, and it would be very fun to create as well. And you can also use the Mono Twin permanent marker, and this one as well is dual tip, and so you get a broader tip on one side and a finer tip on the other side. And so it just kind of depends on how precise you want those lines to be. And what we're going to do, I'm going to show you, is the difference between the Lettering Basics set, which is what you these are the supplies that you get in that, versus Lettering in Color. So with Lettering in Color, you get a few more supplies that you can have a little bit more fun with when it comes to hand lettering. And then you also get a blender pen, which is a very handy tool to have. And I'll show you how this works in terms of blending your dual brush pen color. And then you also get a gray Fudenosuke hard tip brush pen. which is great for contrast with the black one or also adding shadow. And so what I'm going to demonstrate is just adding a little bit more color to this card using the extra supplies that you get with lettering and color as well. So what I did here was just add a little color at the top of the letter. And what you can then do is take your colorless blender and just pull that color down. And what it will do is blend the color, but also just kind of make it look a little bit softer. And it'll soften up your color just a little bit. And it's just a fun technique to use in hand lettering, especially if you just want to add a little bit of soft color to your lettering. So as you can see, it just pulls the color down a little bit, and then you get a little bit of that pastel shade of the pink. It just makes it look a little bit more interesting. So once we're done that, I'm going to show you how to use the Mono Twin permanent marker. What you can do with the very fine tip is you can just outline a letter, and that way you can sort of just add a little bit more definition. And the great thing about using a permanent marker like this is that it's not going to bleed over your marker color or marker lines. So there you have an outline using the Mono Twin fine tip. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little bit of color to the rest of my card, just using the colors that I have here. Once your lettering is dry, we can go in and erase the pencil line. So if you wanted to hand letter using a dual brush pen, just remember that while this brush tip is great for hand lettering with, it will give you a broad line depending on how you push down on it. And so, for example, if we're going to go over this letter, you can create a thicker line moving downwards, that downstroke. And it'll give you that really nice line variation. So with the gray dual brush pen, what you can do is you can create a shadow behind this line. And it will just make your letters pop a little bit more. So it's a great technique to add some shadow, add some dynamic style to your hand lettering using the gray dual brush pen. And with the gray Fudenosuke hard tip brush pen, what you can do is you can just create that shadow, but it'll be a little bit more precise and thinner than if you used a dual brush pen. So there we have it. And again, I love using the Mono Twin permanent marker for outlining, especially on top of marker, because sometimes you find that regular markers will smear if you do the outlining on top. But with a permanent marker, you can do it without worrying. So there we have it. We created a holiday card using the lettering basics set for our outlining and our hand lettering, and then using the additional tools that come in the lettering and color set to add a little bit more color, a little bit more blending, and some precise shadowing as well, and creating this beautiful card. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Carola, and you can find me on socials as From Carola. And if you have any questions, throw them in the comments. We would love to answer them for you. And also, if you want to see more content from Tombow USA, remember to like and subscribe to this video so that you can see more. I'll see you next time. Bye.